Mascaro in Egypt, where I also was brought up, for I am one of the Copts, and my brother was a broker before me. When I came to man's estate, he departed this life, and I succeeded him to his business. One day, as I was sitting in my shop, behold, there came up to me a youth as handsome as could be, wearing sumptuous raiment, and riding a fine donkey. When he saw me, he saluted me, and I stood up to do him honor. Then he took out a kerchief containing a sample of sesame and asked, "How much is this worth?" Whereto I answered, 100 dirhams. Quoth he, "Take porters and gaugers and medsmen, and come tomorrow to the Khan al-Jawali, by the gate of Victory Quarter, where thou wilt find me." Then he fared forth, leaving with me the sample of sesame in his kerchief, and I went the round of my customers and ascertained that every ardab would fetch 120 dirhams. Next day I took 4 medsmen and walked with them to the Khan, where I found him awaiting me. As soon as he saw me, he rose and opened his magazine, when we measured the grain till the store was empty, and we found the contents 50 ardabs, making 5,000 pieces of silver. Then said he, "Let 10 dirhams on every ardab be thy brokerage. So take the price and keep in deposit 4,500 dirhams for me. And when I have made an end of selling the other wares in my warehouses, I will come to thee and receive the amount." "I will well," replied I, and kissing his hand went away, having made that day a profit of 1,000 dirhams. He was absent a month, at the end of which he came to me and asked, "Where be the dirhams?" I rose and saluted him, and answered to him, "Wilt thou not eat somewhat in my house?" But he refused with the remark, "Get the monies ready, and I will presently return and take them." Then he rode away. So I brought out the dirhams and sat down to await him, but he stayed away for another month. When he came back and said to me, "Where be the dirhams?" I rose, and saluting him asked, "Wilt thou not eat something in my house?" But he again refused, adding, "Get the monies ready, and I will presently return and take them." Then he rode off. So I brought out the dirhams and sat down to await his return. But he stayed away from me for a third month. Verily, this young man is liberality ask not what burneth in my breast, lest thou see fiery pangs I never saw. Wills not my heart to harbor some instead of Layla's love, but need hath never a law. And he put out his right arm from his sleeve, and behold, the hand was cut off, a wrist without a fist. I was astounded at this, but he said, Marvel not, and think not that I ate with my left hand for conceit and insolence, but from necessity. And cutting off my right hand was caused by an adventure of the strangest. Asked I, and what caused it? And he answered, Know that I am of the sons of Baghdad, and my father was of notables of that city. When I came to man's estate, I heard the pilgrims and wayfarers, travelers, and merchants talk of the land of Egypt. And their words sank deep into my mind till my parent died, when I took a large sum of money and furnished myself for trade with stuffs of Baghdad, and packing them up in bales set out on my wanderings. And Allah decreed me safety till I entered this your city. Then he wept and began repeating, A clear-eyed scrapes the pits, wherein the eyed fall. A word the wise man slaves and saves the natural. The Moslem fails of food, and Kafir feasts and all. What art or act is man's, God's will obligeth all. Now when he had ended his verse, he said, So I entered Cairo, and took off my loads, and stored my stuffs in the khan. Then I gave the servant a few silvers wherewith to buy me some food, and lay down to sleep a while. When I awoke, I went to the street between the two palaces, and presently returned and rested my night in the khan. When it was morning, I opened a bale and took out some stuff, saying to myself, I will be off and go through some of the bazaars and see the state of the market. So I loaded the stuff on some of my slaves and fared forth till I reached the exchange, where the brokers who knew of my coming came to meet me. They took the stuffs and cried them for sale, but could not get the prime cost of them. I was vexed at this. However, the sheikh of the brokers said to me, O my lord, I will tell thee how thou mayest make a profit of thy goods. Thou shouldest do as the merchants do, and sell thy merchandise at credit for a fixed period, on a contract drawn up by a notary and duly witnessed, and employ someone to take thy dues every Monday and Thursday. So shalt thou gain 2 dirhams and more for every one, and thou shalt solace and divert thyself by seeing Cairo and the Nile. Quoth I, This is sound advice, and carried the brokers to the khan. They took my stuffs and went with them on change, where I sold them while taking bonds for the value. These bonds I deposited with a banker, who gave me a receipt with which I returned to the khan. Here I stayed a whole month, every morning breaking my fast with a cup of wine, and making my meals on pigeon's meat, mutton, and sweetmeats, till the time came when my receipts began to fall due. So every Monday and Thursday I used to go on change, and sit in the shop of one or other of the merchants, whilst the notary and money changer went round to recover the monies from the traders, till after the time of mid-afternoon prayer, when they brought me the amount, and I counted it, and sealing the bags returned magnificent, perfumed with the sweetest of scents, and walking with graceful swaying gait. And seeing me, she raised her mantilla, allowing me a glimpse of her beautiful black eyes. She saluted Bedieldin, who returned her salutation and stood up and talked with her. And the moment I heard her speak, the love of her got hold of my heart. Presently she said to Bedieldin, "Hast thou by thee a good piece of stuff woven with thread of pure gold?" So he brought out to her a piece from those he had bought of me, and sold it to her for 1,200 dirhams. When she said, "I will take the piece home with me, and send thee its price." "That is impossible, O my lady," the merchant replied, "for here is the owner of the stuff, and I owe him a share of profit." "Fie upon thee," she cried. "Do I not use to take from thee entire rolls of costly stuff and give thee a greater profit than thou expectest, and send thee the money?" "Yes," rejoined he, "but I stand in pressing need of the price this very day." Hereupon she took up the piece and threw it back upon his lap, saying, "Out on thee! Allah confound the tribe of which estimates none at the right value," and she turned to go. I felt my very soul going with her, so I stood up and stayed her, saying, "I conjure thee by the Lord, O my lady, favor me by retracing thy gracious steps." She turned back with a smile and said, "For thy sake I return," and took a seat opposite me in the shop. Then quoth I to Bedieldin, "What is the price they ask thee for this piece?" And quoth he, 1,100 dirhams. I rejoined, "The odd hundred shall be thy profit. Bring me a sheet of paper